Two black men were about to rob a drunk man. One of them snuck up behind the man, lifted him, and slammed him to the ground. They quickly started searching his pockets for his wallet, but what they didn't expect was that this was a trap set by the police. The two men immediately jumped to their feet and tried to flee, but by then, police cars had already blocked their escape route. As the sirens grew louder, Foreman's heart raced with fear. In a panic, he noticed a narrow gap under a nearby house. Without thinking twice, he rushed into the gap, hoping to hide. However, to his shock, it turned out to be a sewage pit. The police, noticing his disappearance, brought out a police dog to track him down. Foreman was a repeat offender. He had been involved in multiple robberies in the past, and if the police caught him this time, his life would likely end behind bars. Desperate, Foreman made a bold decision. He grabbed some of the muck around him and smeared it all over his body, hoping it would mask his scent. The plan worked. The police dog couldn't detect anything unusual, and the officers soon drove away, leaving Foreman behind. He had successfully escaped the chase. Afterward, Foreman aimlessly walked through the streets. People around him cast disgusted glances in his direction, but Foreman had grown used to this kind of discrimination. He used to be a kind person, but growing up in poverty had made him a target for bullying. At school, his teachers would pick on him. When he raised his hand to answer a question, the teacher would only focus on his worn-out shoes, ignoring him completely. Instead, the teacher's attention shifted to a pair of polished leather shoes.
Jason, take us away.
That moment was when Foreman first felt the sting of discrimination. At lunch, while his classmates enjoyed their meals, Foreman would sit there, stomach growling from hunger. In the evenings, his mother would prepare dinner for the 4 children. She would split a small burger into 4 portions, and that was their meal for the day. For someone as big as Foreman, that little bit of food was nowhere near enough. Despite their difficult circumstances, his mother insisted they say a prayer before each meal. Foreman, hungry and frustrated, couldn't help but feel a sense of helplessness.
I'm so hungry. I could eat this table.
Before bed, his mother would remind him not to cause trouble at school. If they moved again, they wouldn't even be able to afford a hamburger. So, when Foreman saw his classmates munching on delicious fried chicken, he could only silently endure the hunger. But his longing gaze didn't go unnoticed, and it only earned him more ridicule from his peers.
What you looking at, Foreman? What's wrong? Can't you even afford a piece of bread? George should change his name from Foreman to Poor Man. Poor man!
That's when the anger inside Foreman finally erupted. He decided it was time to teach the bully a lesson.
What?
Although he vented his rage, it didn't save him from being expelled from school. This wasn't the first time he had been kicked out. His mother, desperate for him to continue his education, had to keep moving from one place to another. But with little money, they could rarely afford rent. Eventually, they were forced to move into a rundown shack. There, Foreman could only feel the cold and hunger, constantly facing the scorn of others. As he grew older, bitterness took root, and he slowly drifted toward a life of crime.